Hi, I'm Dr. Caroline Leaf, and welcome to my podcast. Today we're going to be talking about how to deal with guilt, specifically guilt as a parent. Now, I'm a mother of 4 children, and I have experienced lots of guilt as my children have grown up. And I've learned to deal with it, and I've learned to apply certain techniques that I developed over the years. I was very good at telling other parents how to deal with guilt, but it was actually quite hard to apply it in my own life and to make sure that I wasn't being caught up and trapped by guilt. And so that's when I really decided to practice what I preached, fortunately early enough in parenting to be able to cope with stuff. But there has been times over the years where it's caught me and then I remember the techniques. And so many people ask me about this, so that's why I decided to do a podcast on this issue. You see, guilt is something that traps us. It blocks us. It blocks your brain's ability to think with clarity. Your brain is just going to do what your mind tells it to do. So if you choose to go into guilt, your brain neurotransmitters just pretty much go crazy because there isn't any wiring in our brain for guilt. When that happens and the biochemistry of your brain goes a little crazy, you can't think with clarity. And so you can almost get yourself stuck in a black hole and find yourself getting worse and worse. And then it affects your parenting skills in general, affects your relationship. It can have this viral effect in so many things in your life. So what is guilt? Guilt is that feeling that I haven't achieved what I'm supposed to have achieved, or that I've let someone down, or that I've done something wrong that I shouldn't have done wrong, that I knew better how to do. So what I do, here's a tip. This is what I do, and this is really good mind-brain connection tips for guilt. The first tip that I always apply is I capture that guilt immediately. So the moment that I feel the guilt coming on and I feel that knot in my stomach and I feel my body responding negatively and I feel my heart pounding and I start feeling almost sick inside, I immediately consciously and deliberately grab that sensation. I name it, I'm feeling guilty. I ask myself, why am I feeling guilty? I answer myself, okay, I'm feeling guilty because I said this to one of my children. Or I didn't say this to one of my children. Or I did this to my husband or did that to my husband. So let me give you an example. Being a working mom has its challenges. My job entails a lot of travel. It always has since my children were very young. I had my practice built onto my house in South Africa so that when I was at home, at least I could practice from home. The problem is that as my career has changed and developed, I travel more and more. And this has meant that I have missed things at my children's schools. So, for example, special events, sports events. I haven't always been there for them for the events that they've had, their special times. And I've tried not to, but there have been occasions that I have missed them. And even though there's been the phone calls and I've been involved to the point where I can, and videos and FaceTiming and whatever I can do to be as involved as I can, I have missed certain things. And that guilt really trapped me. That guilt really also, one of my children really battled. They all battled with it. And I had to really talk them through it. I had to really explain to my children that this is what I'm called to do. That I'm a better mom because of the work that I do. That if I didn't do this work and gave this work up, not only would I be frustrated and not be a decent mom, but I would also be not helping as many people as I do. I wouldn't be fulfilling my purpose. And I would explain to them and say that I really want them one day to find something that is so fulfilling. The work that I do is incredibly fulfilling. I love it. It excites me. 30 years later, I'm as excited as I was 30 years ago when I started. And as I explained my passion to my children, and as I explained the purpose of what I do, and as I involved them in my work and let them see the changes that it was making in other people's lives, that helped me to help them to process the fact that I wouldn't always be there at every event physically, but that I'm always with them. So in this example, what I have said to you is that I was open with my children. I told them that I would feel terrible anxiety, and I found it helped me to talk to them and to explain to them and to help them process it. So we ended up helping each other by us being open about it. Them telling me, Mom, I hate it when you're not there and it's awful when all the other moms are there, but you're not the one there. And I said, but I'll be there as many events as I can. And as we talked it through and worked it through, that helped them to process it. And they suddenly saw what I was doing in a different light. And then the tune changed and my children would say to me, Mom, we're so happy that you do this. We would much rather that you do what you do. We can see you happy. We can see you helping other people so we can deal with this. But if I had kept quiet about it and continued the guilt, it would have affected my work and my parenting. So to be honest and open is really important. There's an example of me capturing that guilt and that feeling and converting it, reconceptualizing it into something that both myself and my children could manage. So when I missed the next event, as that little guilt feeling started to rise its head, I stopped and I grabbed that and I reconceptualized that, and I would send my children a text and say, I wish I was there with you, but I am with you, even though I'm not there physically with you, or something like that made us both feel better about the moment. So you just need to work out some kind of little active thing once you've grabbed that guilt, identified and reconceptualized it, or redesigned it, or looked at it from a different viewpoint, and then have a way of dealing with it when the triggers come, because they will come. And even today, my kids are big now, I still like to be at as many events as possible. I still miss certain things. I still have to schedule my time so that I can be with them as much as I possibly can. But we've learned to work through it. We've learned to work through it as a family. There may be things in your life that maybe you don't travel, but maybe there's other things. I remember when my children were small, I would go to bed at night thinking, did I read them enough stories? Help them enough when they fell? Did I explain enough when one of their friends hurt them? Or something like that. I would constantly have something that I was going to bed at night with. And I remember speaking to other friends who also had small children, and they felt the same. So many moms are going through this guilt thing. So many dads are going through this guilt thing because they're not able to be with their children perhaps as much as the moms are. The big thing is that we need to acknowledge that this exists. We need to acknowledge that it's not easy to always be at every single event. We need to acknowledge that guilt is not good for us. As a scientist, I tell you that guilt messes up your brain. It will make you worked up. It will make you get to the point where you'll say the wrong thing, where you'll say too much of the wrong thing at the wrong time. And when you have the guilt under control and you redesign it, you reconceptualize it, you look at it from a different point of view, and you apologize for maybe the hurt that you did cause. Maybe you really did do something wrong. Maybe you really did do something that hurt your children and you knew it and you felt guilty. You've got to deal with that. It's very important that we are able to apologize to our children, that we are able to create an environment where our children can say, hey mom, hey dad, what you did really made me feel X, Y, and Z. You need to be strong enough in yourself to allow your children to say that to you, because you are helping them to process that. You the adult, they the child. So next time you feel guilty, do these 3 steps. First step, grab that guilt and think about it. Ask, answer, and discuss yourself. Why do I feel this guilt? What is this guilt specifically? The more specific you get, the more you can do about it. Step 2. Now I want you to reconceptualize that guilt, redesign it, see it from a different angle. Instead of seeing it as a failure, as something terrible and bad, even if it was terrible and bad, and even if it was a failure, don't see it like that. See that as something that you don't want to do again. See it as a lesson learned. See it as something positive in that you are going to learn from this and you're not going to do it again, or you're going to try and not do it again. And then third thing, work out an action of how you're going to deal with this and then go and do it. So if your action is, okay, I'm going to have that conversation with my child, with my husband, with my wife, with my friend, with my colleague. I'm going to write this letter. I'm going to do this. Whatever it is that you decide to do, go and do it. Don't just decide, do it as well. I hope this helps you. It's helped me so much. I'm a mom of 4, as I've already said. I've gone through my fair share of guilt, being a mother, being a wife, being a business owner, and I can tell you that this really does work. I know you can do it because I've done it in my life, and so many other people that I've helped have done this as well. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Dr. Caroline Leaf.